So you got it? The only way to define it in which it could give glory to God is for the sake of the gospel. It's good to look good. It's good to be like a nice person, like a well-liked person. Oh, you're cool. You know, you're cool, calm, and collected. That's cool, right? They like you for that. Not all, because, you know. So if you're looking at and understanding how it should be defined, that's the way it should be defined. Now, turn to Proverbs 25, verse 28. 25, verse 28. In order to fully understand this truth, you know, it's helpful to describe what the absence of self-control looks like. If self-control is not there, how does it look like? If you found it, read it.
He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
All right, so it says it is like a city that is broken down and without walls. Like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. Why is that analogy? Right? Well, what do you think is the correlation or the comparison? If you're lacking self-control, why is it that Solomon compared it to a city without walls, broken down?
Without the self-control, you're basically out of control and you take things further than necessary. And that looks bad to those who are watching it, witnessing it.
That's right. Any word synonymous to out of control?
Well, a city without the wall is just like a ship going around in their own way.
Without a rudder, right?
It's just like without a shepherd in there.
Out of control. Out of control. What is synonymous to it?
You'll be
Boundaries.
Kevin?
Anarchy?
It's a society that's out of control. That could be anarchy. You know what anarchy means, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that here in America. We've seen that in many places. Well,
I see it as also weak.
Weak.
Yeah, the cities without the walls is weak, easily wounded, easily hurt,
you're easily.
infiltrated.
There's nothing to
They'll
break.
take anything.
There's
They'll
nothing
take
to break.
anything in.
You can just go in. It's like open for any kind of invasion or right.
Nothing to stand on.
Yeah. Defenseless, without protection,
Vulnerable.
vulnerable. But in terms of, let's say, in terms of, like, how do you, if a person is out of control, how will you describe that person? Out of control. Unruly, no respect, no regard for the law.
Disrespectful.
Disrespectful. How about wild? How about untamed?
Incorrigible.
Incorrigible. There's no more hope for an incorrigible person because that's it. Foolish.
Yes.
Whoa. So now you understand why it's important for us to talk about this. Am I out of control sometimes? Oh, yes. I don't know, sometimes, so probably many times, you know. Thought could wonder, whoa, out of control. If you don't watch what you're thinking, it could go out of control. Why do you go that far? I mean, why? Okay? If you don't watch your tongue, it could go, again, it could go out of control, wild, untamed. And James talked about it in James chapter 3. He compared it to a number of things, like a wildfire that could start in a small ignition, right? And then it could burn, and it could cause a forest fire. How do you think forest fires start? A small ignition,
Part,
probably just
for the most part.
a lust puff, and then you play it. That's it. You don't know what happened. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, there's fire there. I was just there. You know that you caused it. Okay, and that's the problem if you're out of control, and it's damaging. It would hurt. You know, last Sunday we had a meeting here, and my tongue went out of control. I put my wife in a bad light by trying to describe it like she was nagging at me, and I didn't make it like this. In fact, she was not nagging at me at all. No. Because I thought I was just making fun of her, teasing her, but I did it in a public way. Whether public or private is wrong. And it really convicted me. I was like, man, why did I do that? I was like condemning myself. I called myself stupid, foolish, and then I went to pick her up at her workplace because we had to register card, DMV. And I said, you know what, I've been so convicted last night. I don't know how many times I confessed it to the Lord. That, you know, that's an example of out of control. I didn't, you know, why did I say it that way? So I have to ask forgiveness from her. See, it's like spur of the moment without you realizing you're creating, you're not thinking, it is when you're not thinking of the consequences, you're not thinking of the damage that it could do. That's the tongue. And thank God, James says, out of that tongue comes praises, and out of the same tongue comes cursing. So this tongue that I've offended is the same tongue that says, I'm sorry. Forgive me. So what will make you do that? Who brought the conviction in me? That's the Spirit of God. The self will go on and justify and argue. Oh, it's okay, you know. No one noticed. Oh, whatever. But wrong. It's wrong. And when you look at the story of Nehemiah, what made Nehemiah leave the palace of King Artaxerxes, a Persian king, and go back to Jerusalem? What made him do that? Wasn't he living the most comfortable life? I mean, he was a king's cupbearer. What could be better position or a place in the palace than to be the cupbearer? You know what he does as a cupbearer to the king? He would be the first one to drink the king's drink. Why is that? Because back in the day, poisoning a king is one of the most common means of getting rid of that king, and then you know, whoever did that will be sitting as a king. And so now, because he went in that way, he's now scared that he might come out the same way, right? So now they have the most trusted person in the palace was the cupbearer, and it happened to be Nehemiah. And then he made an appeal to the king that he would be let go to go back to his own hometown or home city, and because news came, and what was he told about? That Jerusalem was in ruins, and the wall of Jerusalem was no more, destroyed. So he went to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. So now you know that back in those days, if a city is not walled, it is open to all kinds of attack. And notice what was said in Nehemiah. The people, the Jewish, the Hebrew people in Jerusalem had become a reproach to the nations. An embarrassing thing, right? For a nation or for a country to be without protection, without any kind of defense. And isn't it sad that America, once known as superpower number one, now who's scared of America?
No.
Is China scared of America?
No.
Is Russia scared of America?
No.
They went to Crimea and did what they did. What did America say? I mean, do? Nothing.
Nothing.
What happened in Syria? What did America do?
Nothing.